I am wondering if the author of the next book we're going to talk about might have got himself into trouble, because it's called The Good Husband, How to Use Your Masculine Strengths to Benefit Your Family. Hagar Avisar, you're in Australia, and it's great to talk to you. How are you?
Excellent.
Good.
And I agree with you with the beginning. I did get into trouble.
The first thing that popped into my mind when Wendy said to me, you're going to talk to this man about his book, The Good Husband. And when I read the byline, which is how to use your masculine strength. Society is beating us over a stick if we use our masculinity or our femininity in any strong way anymore. So what possessed you to do this?
Yes, masochism. So what I see in my work is that there is conversation about feminine, masculine that is taking place on the cultural level in the interaction between men and women, often in context of work and career. But when it comes to family matters, there is something else is happening there. Mm-hmm. Arrival of children unleashing in father and mother's different instincts that are not aligning with kind of modern view of what men and women in their gender role should display. Raising children, as you can imagine, is an old thing like in the evolution of mankind. And what happens is that you find yourself reacting to instincts and needs and vulnerabilities that are been there for thousands of generations. And when a woman becomes a mother, she is now so vulnerable and so needy. And what she needs from her man is the kind of strength and skills that served her through the history of mankind. And these are the kind of strength that she needs from men, which I discuss in my book, which I call it the archetype, innate blueprints that are cross-culturally exist in human beings everywhere, and through the history we develop them. And these archetypes are within us to match certain challenges in our life. And the challenges of parenting, of course, requires of the man the qualities and the strength that are associated with roles of the king and a lover and a magician and a warrior. Think about this as kind of characters that you want to wear the suits and start to act. In the book, I explain how each of these characters comes with a set of skills, ultimately to meet the needs of mothers. I think the confusion that people have about masculinity is that they fail to see that what makes it so is deep needs that is coming from children and mothers towards the men in the family.
You are a very experienced couples therapy and psychologist. And would the vast majority of the couples that seek help from you, would they be childless or would they have children?
My first priority is actually to help couples with children and young children, in particularly when you meet them at the early stage of coupledom, because this is when you can say that you plant the seeds for success or failure down the track, because this is when we are most vulnerable, we are most needy, and you want to get it right. Because if you leave your partner injured during those years, you carry the injury for years to come. Trust often is shattered, and it takes a lot of effort to heal down the track.
Okay. Are you saying to us that society, and I glibly mentioned it at the start, that you might get into trouble because society doesn't like us anymore to be the king, to be the lover, to be the magician, to be the warrior, to be the fixer. That's what we do. Men, in my own life, I have found that, sometimes a woman will tell you something, or your partner, your wife or your girlfriend will tell you something, and your immediate instinct, my immediate instinct, will be to fix it. And sometimes, I've been told, I'm only telling you, I don't want you to do anything, just telling you, I need to vent, I need to get this off my chest. And I've had to kind of readapt over the years. Experience has taught me that sometimes you're just being told something, and sometimes you've been told something because you're required to be the king or the magician or the warrior or whatever the case might be. Is that good, or do we have to listen to the person that's talking to us or the person we care about? So how would you, if me and my partner and I were in front of you in couples therapy, and I said this to you, what would your answer be?
I want to explain first how each of the role would manifest itself in the context of families. And we need to understand that my job as a couple therapist, is mostly about providing empathy to both, to women and men, when they cope with their challenges. So you would think that empathy is a quality associated with femininity. And here I am in the profession that mostly females. So, but I do that with pride and immense satisfaction, and I don't have any complexities with my masculinity. I actually take pride in my masculinity. The point is to make use of your masculine strength in a way that is matching the specific needs that your wife bring to the situation when she's raising babies. And I need time, of course, to explain and develop that. So I'll try to do that as fast as I can. So when people hear the word king, of course, they have all kind of association with the word king, and then they call it sovereign. I don't have any complexities, and I feel very comfortable to encourage men to use the king. For years and years, I talk to women, my female clients, about being a queen. And when I speak to them about queen, they love it, the idea of being a queen. I coach them to take ownership, to be assertive, to be independent, to be royal in their position in society, in how they hold themselves. So they love it. But now when I come to men and talk to them about being a king, of course, it sounds like some kind of patriarchal tyranny or people associated with all kind of things. So I don't need to hold back just because some people have their stereotypes and beliefs. So we just need to explain to them what the meaning of being a king. And my job is to talk to men about the king, not to women. And I want to explain to them that the king that they want to see, and if I model to them a king, they know that I don't, of course, talk about controlling. The way of the wise king is to lead by creating order. So the role of the king to be intentional and to have this vision that what I'm here to create. And the way you create that is by creating the order. Think about a nation. What creates a nation is the constitution. Think about a company. What creates in the company is a kind of a mission statement, is the core ideology, is the how we operate, how we do the things. So you will always have the one on the top that will make sure that we operate according to our values, according to our mission statements, according to our rules, according to our regulations, etc. So when you think king, you think values. So what I say, for example, to men, in order to fulfill the role of the king, just make sure that you are evoking the ideas of values. So when something not working well in the relationship, try to refer to values. Speak, for example, we mentioned that we agreed to be kind to each other, or we thought we should be respectful. You lead by referring to the core values that you share.
Okay, all right.
And if I speak about the warrior, if I continue, it's another concept that may deter people. The lover and the magician, let's say it's less complex for the sensitive ear. But if I talk about the warrior, obviously, a woman wants from a warrior to meet the need for safety and the need to guard, protect the family from anyone who may risk the togetherness. In today's context, I believe a man needs to command respect in a way that the woman does not treat him with contempt.
Okay.
And the research tells us that contempt is the number one cause for divorce. When people begin to feel contempt, you are in real danger. Opposite to contempt is respect. Most divorce and separation are initiated by women. So the smart, wise man will have to make sure that there is respect towards him. The way, of course, to command respect, I give details in the book.
Is there, in your experience down through the years dealing with couples, is there any one thing that we as men do that is wrong consistently in relationships? And if so, what is it and how do we fix it?
Wow, beautiful question. Common mistakes. I'll tell you, one of the most common mistakes is that the way they approach conflicts. Men are traditionally, they approach conflict as a situation for win and lose. Because historically, we didn't have conflicts with the women. We just controlled them. And if they didn't listen, we would use violence. This is the old days. So, and what did we do with other men when we had conflict? We take the sword or the gun and we start a fight and see who wins the fight. So the stronger will rule. Now, when you come today to this family arrangement that we are totally equal in our rights and responsibilities and in power, you need to have different tools to handle conflicts. And this is where women will have advantage because they're more verbal, they master language better. So today you would approach conflicts with negotiation, talking, explaining, convincing, and so on. This is the ideal. But men often get triggered and they don't know how to express, how to advocate for what they need. And the way they do that, they either get angry and lash out, or they most of the time, what they do is they avoid, they withdraw.
Okay.
And this is the biggest mistake you would see men doing. And what I often do in my work with men is coach them on how to use the right language in expressing what they need and what they want from the women. And of course, I coach them to do that with the right language, which is not aggressive or hurting the other person or insulting.
In the notes that I got in relation to the book, it says that it shows you how to be at your best as a husband and father. Being the best husband you can be is fine. But supposing it doesn't work out and you become an ex-husband, you've got a whole different set of issues to deal with at that point, including how to be the right father when you're with your children. So when a husband is living with a wife and a family, he would be expected to be the king, the lover, the magician, the warrior. But when that marriage breaks down, to be the best father he can be, do those four things still apply? And is it important, or is there something else brought into the mix, or do you take one of those out?
No, I think that the four archetypes are there to serve you in many contexts, actually. You don't resign from any of them just because you're not in the marriage. I believe that even as a boss, you can act the lover in you in the context of work, in the way, let's say, you're sensitive and caring for employees and the way you respond to them. So you don't resign. I think these four roles, you want to have healthy balance in them and also healthy expression, because any of these roles, when you go to the extreme, whether you are too rigid and controlling as a king or too soft, and so you want to have the right balance in how you express that. And in your role as a father, let's say after separation, I've got a whole chapter on fatherhood and how every one of these roles is equipping you as a father with certain rules. So let's say as a king, of course, you will discipline the child by explaining the rules and how the rules are serving him, her, and the context of the family, and why it's important to maintain these rules and the values of the family. The warrior in you will say to the child, no, you can't do that. No, you now go to your room. You don't leave until I tell you. You set boundaries. You set consequences. You confront your child. You challenge your child. You will see that this is a good balance to mothers who tend to overprotect because this is their instincts. So you would like to balance that with the warrior energy, which is all about challenge and action.
Right.
The magician in you, all about approaching situation with the eye of the scientist and research and observe and assess and ask questions. So the magician in you is often looking with some perspective. The magician in you will help the child to make sense by explaining why we do what we do, what's the problem, to encourage the child to solve the problem by himself, by guiding him through questions. And the lover in you as a father would, of course, show warmth, show connection, and affection, caring, and which is most fathers I know do that in a very natural way.
Having written this, I know it was released late last year, and having written it, did you write something that is a stick that you can be beaten with in your own house? Has it been put to you? You wrote The Good Husband. Did you really?
You know, I say in the book that I wrote it with the hindsight of someone who made many mistakes. So I myself, I don't pretend to be the good husband myself. I actually encourage a man to learn from the experience of someone like myself and many people. You know, as you know it yourself, we age with the years and we have different perspective on how we were when we were younger. But it's time when you come in my age. I've got my kids now in their early 30s, and they start families sometime, and I would like to pass on to them the kind of wisdom I didn't have at the time.
I think every man can equate to exactly what you have just said. Listen, it sounds fascinating. The Good Husband: How to Use Your Masculine Strengths to Benefit Your Family. The author is Haggai Avisar. Haggai, thank you for taking time to talk to us about the book. Our listeners would be able to get a copy of that very quickly and very easily because we feature that on our online bookstore at our website, which is tre.radio. So it's there for them to enjoy. I've enjoyed the conversation. I suppose we could have a further conversation on it. But for now, we'll have to leave it where it is. Haggai, thanks very much for talking to us.
Thank you.